Hi, Phyllis here, southernfrugal.com. I had a lot of requests this week for how to make dressing for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to do a little simple dressing that you can make. It's just really, really easy. So we're just going to go step by step. Alright, so the first thing, I have melted 1 stick of butter, or 1/2 cup. And to that, we're going to add 1 kind of heaping cup of sliced celery and 1 kind of heaping cup of onion. And I'm just using a purple onion because that's what I've got, but you can use any kind of onion. Just put those in the skillet, and we're going to saute these for probably about 10 minutes. We want the onions to be kind of translucent. It doesn't have to be completely done and soft, but halfway there anyway. Alright, when this gets ready, we'll be back. Alright, we are back, and the celery and the onions have cooked maybe halfway to 3/4. So now we're ready to get the little bread that's going to go in the stuffing. So yesterday I cooked a pan of cornbread, and this is yellow cornmeal mix, and I just cooked 1 little pan of it, and I've cut them up into little squares just to make it easier. It's easier to do that than it is to crumble it up. Also, I'm using 5 biscuits this size, browned on the bottom, and what I've done with the biscuits is just cut them up in little squares again. It's just easier for me to do it that way. Now these biscuits are made with baking powder. They're not a yeast type bread, because this is really a southern dressing, and it's just going to be a very simple dressing. Nothing out of the ordinary. Now we're just going to mix these two together, the biscuits and the cornbread. And some people make their dressing with all cornbread, but this one is sort of half and half. And you see on the bottom, made sure that the cornbread is browned, because that's going to add that really good taste to it. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and put in my celery and my onions along with that 1/2 cup of butter. And by the way, when you're cooking them, that butter is going to kind of clarify itself and give you a really good taste. So my bowl is never big enough for this, but we're going to try to make it work. Alright, so now I want to just mix that up just a little bit. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. And so now we're going to add just some regular poultry seasoning. And I'm going to add only about 2 heaping teaspoons. Just sprinkle that around. And any poultry seasoning will work. Alright, so that's all we need to do there. So now I just want to kind of turn that over a little bit. Get the spices and the celery and onion kind of mixed in there. Now right now this is really dry, and I'm going to put a video I've done for making biscuits down at the bottom. I'm going to also give you 3 versions of how to make dressing of other stuff you can add to it. But this is just a basic, very basic recipe, and this will be good. It really will. Alright, so now we want the dressing to be good and wet. Now if you're making turkey dressing, you might want to use the turkey broth, but I don't particularly care for that. I'd much rather have the chicken, and this one is the reduced sodium. Now you notice I didn't put any salt or any pepper in there, because first of all, the cornbread and the biscuits have salt in them already. So we're just going to pour this in, and we want it all good and wet. so this was 32 ounces. So now let's see if it's going to be wet enough. Just stirring it around. I'm getting all that bread wet. Now I've got an extra one of these because I'm going to also make some gravy later, and I want to make sure that I've got the dressing really good and wet. And let all that soak up in these little pieces of biscuit and the little pieces of cornbread. Now I mentioned earlier I went ahead and made the biscuits and the cornbread yesterday, and then I just let them sit out and dry out. Yeah, because if you make them the same day, there's going to be a lot of moisture still in the cornbread and the biscuits. But if you leave them sitting out on your counter, I usually just put them up on top of my refrigerator and let them dry out. Now we're going to need more of the broth, so let me find that. Yeah, I'm going to save some of this for the gravy, but this will work for the dressing. Now it takes a lot. Now what my mother used to do is make the dressing from the drippings of the turkey. And you can certainly do that, but you'd need to have your breadcrumbs already ready. And we do like kind of a wet dressing, better than the kind that's real dry. So I'm going to put a little more in. Now we're going to end up cooking this in the oven for about an hour at 350 degrees. Now again, this is like a southern dressing. It doesn't have any yeast bread of any kind in it. It's biscuits and cornbread. And again, I can't emphasize enough that you need to make the biscuits and the cornbread the day before and just let them sit out. All right, that looks about right to me, right there. See, when you mash it down, you can still see some of the liquid coming to the surface, because a lot of this liquid is going to cook out of it when it's in the oven. All right, so we've got it already ready. And again, this is a basic dressing. Just a very basic. And again, I use the chicken broth just because we like it better than the turkey. But if you like the turkey broth, you can definitely use the turkey broth or drippings from where you cooked your turkey. But just remember, it'll take about an hour for this to cook. Now, can y'all see let me move you closer. All right, look on the side. Can you see the moisture all in there? But a lot of it's going to cook out when it's cooked in the oven. So we want to make sure it's good and moist. Also, the celery and onion are probably half done, maybe even 3/4. But you definitely need to saute them beforehand so they'll be sure and be done. You don't want to have dressing and crunch down on some crunchy celery. All right, so this is just a basic recipe. Now, before I put this in the oven, I want to talk to you about the other things that you can do. Now, a lot of people in the South put sausage in their dressing, and I've done that before. It's really good. And the other thing, this is what my mother used to do. She would take that little packet that comes inside the turkey. It's going to have the neck, the heart, the gizzard, and the liver. And she would take all that out and just put it in a saucepan and cook it for maybe an hour or so, and pick that little meat that's on the side of the long turkey neck and mash up the liver and cut up that little gizzard and also the heart, cut it up real little. And she would put that in her dressing. Now, sausage is one thing, or you can add sausage to that and add all of that. And the other thing that I do, which we like best of all. I like to put apples, just cubed apples, raisins that have been, you put them in a bowl and put them in the microwave and just let it come to a boil and let them sit there and soak up the moisture, and pecan pieces. I love that kind of dressing, but today we're just going to make the plain. And so there are probably other things that you could add that I never thought of, but the one using the apples, pecans, and the raisins is my favorite. My least favorite is the one where you put in all the turkey neck meat and all that. But anyway, the one that you make with the apples, pecans, and raisins tastes really good the next day and the day after that. Plus it freezes really well. And my experience, where you put the turkey organs and the neck meat and all that in, don't taste as good after it's been frozen. To me it doesn't anyway. Alright, so we're going to put this in the oven for about an hour, and really just before it gets done, maybe we'll go ahead and make some gravy. Alright, we will see y'all in a little while. Alright, our dressing is almost done now, so I'm going to go ahead and fix the gravy. I've also got some green beans, those market side green beans from Walmart. I love them. So we are fixing those also. Alright, so the first thing we've done is melt 5 tablespoons of butter. Let me move y'all closer. Whoops. And to that, we're going to add 5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Just dump it in. And I've got my burner just a little above medium. And we want to cook this flour and just ever the slightest bit brown it. That really won't take but just a few minutes or less. And we're just going to make this a plain, it's like a chicken gravy really, because we're going to use the rest of our chicken broth for the gravy. So we ended up buying 2 of these at Walmart. And again, they're the reduced salt, but I'm not going to add any salt at all to this because I'm going to add something else that's also got salt in it. And of course, you could also add pepper. Now, I'm allergic to pepper, so I can't add the black pepper. So you want to just get it just with a little bit of color on it. Because this is going to be chicken gravy. Now, if you want to make it turkey gravy, you just substitute the turkey broth for the chicken broth. So I'm just stirring this constantly. I also got a little silicone whisk at Walmart to use in my pots so I don't skin them up. Alright, so we definitely want a little bit of color here. So we'll just give it another minute or so. We'll be right back. Alright, so now we've got a little bit of color on this. We're just going to slowly add in 2 cups of the chicken broth as we're stirring. And just keep stirring it. Now if I need more, I've got a little bit left in my carton. Alright, so now we're just going to bring this up to a boil, and we'll be back. Alright, my gravy is boiling now, and I like much thinner gravy, so I'm going to add 1. If you like thick gravy, this would be it right here. But let me just show you the other thing we're going to add. I just think this really adds some extra taste to it. Some cooking sherry. It's probably about 3 tablespoons. Just gives it a really nice flavor. And now I'm going to go ahead and add almost another whole cup of the chicken broth. And we're going to let this just simmer until everything else is ready. And I do think the dressing is ready. My buzzer went off, so we'll be back. All right, the gravy's all boiling now. And again, I like the thinner gravy. If you like gravy thicker than this, just don't add as much of the broth. All right, and you don't have to add the cooking cherry. I just think it greatly adds to the taste. And the dressing is done. Whoops, and there's what it looks like. And I do like my dressing brown around the edge and brown on the bottom. I like that part best. Anyway, there it is. We're ready to dish everything up and have our meal. So we'll be back and show you what it looks like. All right, we are ready for our meal of the day. This is some smoked turkey I fixed in September and froze several bunches of it. And I went ahead and thawed that out. There's the dressing. See that brown edge on it? That's what I love. And the bottom of it's brown too. I put gravy on the top. This is some potato salad that I fixed on Saturday, 2 days ago. And of course, whole berry cranberry sauce and some of those wonderful green beans. They're market side, and you find those in the produce section of Walmart. And there's my plate. And I will be fixing another turkey on Thanksgiving morning. So let me show you what the dressing looks like. Now, we like really moist dressing. If you don't want yours that moist, just don't add as much of the broth to it when you're cooking it. And of course, there's the gravy. So we'll have this on Thanksgiving along with the gravy and a different turkey. All right, y'all, we got our tea all ready. We're ready to eat. We will see y'all next time.